All right, everyone, welcome back in. It's another episode of Bleav in Vikings with your host, Wobby, Mike Wobschall. A pleasure to be with you all and pleasure to have a guest today. It's former New York Giant, former Chicago Bear, and he played with some other teams as well, Prince Amukamara. And of course, as always on Mondays, it's Bryant McKinnie. I'm going to bring the fellas in a moment as we talk Vikings-Giants, we talk life in the NFL. I have a feeling we're going to talk Nebraska Cornhuskers and Miami Hurricanes too once we get rolling. But before we get to all of that, Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting right now. You can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from baseball to Formula One racing. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code Bleav for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online, the game starts here. All right, B-Mac, welcome back, bud. It's a B-Mac Monday, of course, and we've been talking about previewing the regular season, it seems like, for a couple of weeks, and now we finally get to do it as the Vikings are getting set to play the New York Giants. No one better to help us do that than a former member of the New York Giants, and that's Prince Amukamara. So awesome to have both of you here. We'll start with you, Bryant. How you doing? How's your week been?
I'm pretty good. My week has been pretty relaxing.
Okay.
You know, it's Labor Day, so it's been a good thing, but ready to get into the first week.
Yeah, I am too, man. And it's going to be fun to do it here with Prince as we talk Vikings and Giants. Prince, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate this.
Man, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to call you Wobby. I didn't know that was your
Yeah.
that was a nickname. So I'm doing good, Wobby. My weekend's is great. I mean, Huskers started 1-0, big week against Colorado, prime in the squad.
Ooh, that's coming up next.
That's coming up next. I'm actually going to be there. So that's going to be exciting. And then yeah, obviously we got Giants Vikings this Sunday.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I was telling you, Prince, before we started recording, you know, being with the Vikings for 15 seasons, and you guys know this from locker room talk, the college football thing, like I'll always remember road trips. You go to the team facility on a Saturday, right? You guys would have a walkthrough or whatever in the morning, and then they let you go and you rush home and get your suit and whatever, right? And probably pick up some food to bring on the plane, whatever. That whole time, everyone's getting ready to watch their alma mater. So we're sitting in like the cafeteria getting ready to go on the charter bus to go to the airport, right? Everyone's hacking their phone, hitting a refresh or watching everyone takes so much pride in their alma mater. And I knew that we'd end up talking Nebraska and Miami Hurricanes when the three of us got together. But that is absolutely a part of the culture in the NFL is people doing friendly wagers on their alma maters. They're playing each other, a lot of smack talking going on. It's really a fun part of the NFL culture.
Yeah, well, 100%. And it kind of like you can if you might not talk to a kicker, but Nebraska might play Purdue, and so now that connects us even more, and we can have a wager and stuff like that. And yeah, the wagers can get fun, not as wild as like the fantasy losers type stuff, but they can get pretty fun.
Yeah, and we saw that in real time, that smack talking B-Mac with the Hurricanes after they beat the Gators. There was that was real last night. I don't know if you saw that or not.
And I like that when they went over there to the recruits and told them, don't come here, you better come to Miami. Like, I said, oh, this reminds me of my era. So I like that. They just have to keep it up one game at a time. And I like it.
So let's reverse that. When you guys were on campus playing, B-Mac for Miami, Prince for Nebraska, were you watching the NFL like you watched college when you were in the NFL?
Me personally, no. I didn't really watch the NFL like that. I was just more focused on college, especially because I was playing a new position. In high school, I played running back, and then when I got to Nebraska, they just switched me to cornerback. So I was watching a lot of guys who were great during my year. Like Joe Hayden was a guy that I kept watching, so I watched all the college ball I could.
Okay, cool. How about you, B-Mac?
Yeah, I watched some games, but I wasn't studying the NFL. I would watch certain games, but not really like just like studying it like that.
Yeah.
It was more about who I was playing against, or like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was more like college for me.
Yeah. So I'll always remember those road game Saturdays. And so, I went to a smaller school, Division III school here in Minnesota. And even if I would have went to the local Division I school, the University of Minnesota, it's, the Gophers have been better with PJ Fleck, but they're never really serious contenders. So I think here, like in the upper Midwest, you definitely skew more pro football, more NFL, because there's just not something to really grab a hold of. And I'm not trying to disrespect the Gophers. I root for them. I hope they succeed, and they've definitely been better with PJ Fleck, but it's just not part of the culture here. Minnesota's more of an NFL town, so to speak.
Mm.
So
I'm not from Minnesota, but I would say that's fair. That's fair to say.
Yeah, and like here, it's like, who's on TV the most? It's like Notre Dame's always on TV. So you get a lot of Notre Dame fans in Minnesota, right? Because they're on. When I was growing up, it was always NBC. So you tend to sort of you flock to what you see the most. And here in Minnesota, a lot of it would be, Big Ten schools. So you might have Minnesotans, but they're big fans of Ohio State or Michigan,
right?
Or Notre Dame, obviously. So anyway,
no, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Prince.
Yeah, you're exactly right, especially because now I'm thinking about just the big games Minnesota had. Like, what's the game with it's not a Hail Mary, but the one they threw to Diggs and beat the Saints.
Yeah, the Minneapolis Miracle. Yep.
The Minneapolis Miracle. Yeah, so there's been a lot of games, and especially like I think maybe the last 5 years, Minnesota has they've been to the postseason a lot, and they've had a pretty solid record. So it's just been more exciting. Again, like you said, not saying that the Gophers haven't had solid seasons, but haven't been into the college playoffs, and so it's kind of hard to like get excited and stuff. And then like when you have notable players, like a Justin Jefferson, even Thielen, dude. Thielen was a headache, man. He was so great and stuff like that. So when you have guys like that, it can make you want to follow a little bit more. No disrespect to Minnesota, but I think the last Gopher I remember is Eric Decker.
Eric Decker, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. They had a couple linemen come up through the works, and then they had a couple of running backs. Marion Barber was one of them, and his dad played in the league as well. Lawrence Maroney was good for the Patriots. But you're right. Eric Decker, probably the most prominent one of late, for sure. I'm sure, Prince, you ran into Eric Decker a few times in your career. So 11 seasons in the NFL for you, Prince. You started with the Giants as a first-round pick, so you were with the Giants from 11 to 16, and that's obviously why Bryant reached out to you to have you join the show here today. But you also spent time with Jacksonville, Chicago, and then the Raiders, Cardinals, and Saints. You won a Super Bowl, man. So I'm, it's an honor. I'm joined by two Super Bowl winners today. You guys both know what it's like to reach the pinnacle. What do you remember from winning a Super Bowl, Prince?
Man, that whole year, it's just, I think the biggest thing I remember is that it doesn't matter what the regular season record is. It just get in. If you get in, you have the same chance as everybody else, and that's what our season was. We got in with a 9-7 record. We won our division, and then our first game playoffs, we're playing a 14-2. I Bleav Falcons. They come down here. It's Julio Jones rookie year. They have Roddy White, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
We beat them like I think 17-2, 17-3. Then we go to Green Bay, who almost had that undefeated season, but lost to a Romeo Crennel Chiefs team and finished 15-1. And we played them in the regular season. We thought they were gonna. We thought that they were going to be tough, which they were, but then we beat them. Then we go to San Francisco with Alex Smith. We win it there, and then we find ourselves playing the Patriots, and it was 21-17, 3 seconds left, Hail Mary, and we knock it down and we win. And everything just went by fast that year for me. And it's funny, never went to the playoffs until 2018 when I was with the Bears and we had that run with Coach Matt. Oh gosh, what's Coach
Mark Truss? Was it Mark?
No. It was Matt. What's my coach's name? Sheesh. He's the OC for the Chiefs now.
Oh, Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Matt Rule because we were
Yeah.
in college, but
Yeah. Matt Nagy. Yep.
Matt Nagy. Yeah, and so it just shows how it doesn't like it's tough. It's tough to come by and stuff. So yeah, it was good.
That's so true. That's a great point, Prince. That it's tough. You can take it for granted, and BMAC like that 2009 Vikings team. So Prince, the 09 Vikings was the one where Favre came. You would have still been in college, but
But I remember that.
Yep. Okay. So that was a magical season. We went 12-4.
Oh, you remember 2019?
Yeah, I was there. Yep, I was there.
That was my best record as a Viking.
Yeah, 12-4,
Wow.
and we actually lost at Chicago that year on a Monday night, if you remember. BMAC, Devin Aroma-Shadu over Winfield in overtime. Winfield never made mistakes, and I'm not saying he made a mistake there, but that was a tough game for us, and we lost at Arizona, we lost at Carolina, but I'll always remember that flight home, BMAC, from New Orleans, losing in the NFC title game. And there was I don't want to call him out. There was a young defensive back we had on our team, and he didn't seem that bummed out. And he's like, "That's all right. We'll be back. We'll be back." And I appreciated his optimism and his positivity. But the next season, we brought everyone back in 2010, and we didn't have it.
It was different, and I knew it was going to be different. And I knew that from the beginning because Brett came and did what he had to do. But when the fact you had to send players to his house to stay overnight and like to get him, I was like, he was content with what he did last season. And like, you send the guys there and trying to get him to get back on the jet and all that, like, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And from there, I knew, like,
you guys got to elaborate on that. What do you mean sending people to his house?
Players got sent to his home.
It was Hutch and Jared for sure. I can't remember the third.
Hutch and Jared and maybe Greenway because it was three.
Yeah.
And Greenway's the linebacker and Jared Allen is the
DM.
Okay.
And then Hudson was the guard that played next to me.
Left guard. Yep.
They got sent to his place. Like, we're in training camp, and Brett basically was retired. Like, Brett was done.
He retired. Yeah.
They just went there unannounced, kind of. Like,
and convinced him.
Just like...
He retired after 2009?
Yeah.
He was trying to.
They
got sent there, and then it was like... Basically, like, please come back. It was like a standoff because you're in his house. He went in his room, and he came out the next morning, like, come on, with his bags packed. Like, he's a Libra, so like that we're both Libras. We talk about that, so I already knew like what it was like. Okay, like he had a whole long conversation with himself, and it was like, they're in my house, like. How am I gonna get them out? So okay, let me just go here. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't the same fuel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now we're forcing it because just people want like, let's finish the job type of mentality, and this is like that was more organic. 2009, and I already knew like you kind of forcing him back.
Mm-hmm.
He was okay. Like. We went to the NFC Championship. He had like one of the best seasons of his career at the age of like 40. Like, I'm gonna give you a Mac fact.
All right, let's go.
We were on a bus. We were heading to an away game back in 2009. We were headed to an away game. So he sat by me on the bus. We always sat towards the back. So like he sat back there with the O-lineman. The O-lineman kind of sat towards the back. He sat back there with us. During that time, I was working in music. So the artist named Pleasure P, who I was working with, he was on tour with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is a huge Brett Favre fan.
So because he's a green and yellow.
Somehow, like if you're with Brett, I said I'll be with him. We're getting on the bus. We have an away game, so we ride the bus together to the airport. And he sits by me. He sits right across from me, and he was like, if I call you with Wayne, you can put him on the phone. I'm like, yeah. So Brett Favre, first time ever speaking to Lil Wayne was through me on my phone.
Hilarious.
Wow. And these are like small little tidbits that people don't even know. Lil Wayne, if he ever goes back to it, like I don't even know if he knows it's my phone, but Pleasure P was on the other end who gave Wayne his phone and said, hey, I'm going to put Brett on the phone. I talked to him real quick. I said, okay, hold on, here go Brett. And I passed the phone.
That's amazing.
And Brett was like, I don't really know him. He says, but everybody in the locker room from Green Bay to the Jets was like, oh, he's the best rapper, and he mentions your name in rap songs. So Brett was open to talk to him, and I put them on the phone with each other.
Hilarious.
I had to prep Brett first. I was like, I had to make sure he knew him. And he was like, yeah, I know him. He says, I hear about him all the time. I just never met him. Like, I said, all right, we're going to put you on the phone. And we did that on the way to it. I don't know who we were playing, but we were on the bus heading to the airport, and I put them on the phone with each other.
So was this after a game from the
stadium?
No,
this was on the way to the airport to go to a game.
Oh, so this was on a Saturday from Winter Park?
Yeah, it was on a Saturday.
Got it. Okay.
Wow.
That's hilarious, man. That's the best. I always remember that, too, about Brett is on game day, road game days, Brett would always sit back there with you guys, too. And we had Phil Lodeholt was our right tackle. And he would always go back there and be Big Phil, and I'm like, here's Brett Favre, 40-year-old quarterback, Big Phil. He's going back there with you guys.
He's a big personality. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the media always the media portrayed him a wrong way, like he was a diva or something. He wasn't like that. So, when you first for me, it was like two different type of feelings. It was one was like, I was always trained like to not like you when I first seen you in the huddle, and then two was like, okay, now how is he gonna act? And it was like nothing like how the media would act like he was a diva. Not at all. Like, no. We had our best season because everybody rallied around him. Everybody didn't rally around Coach Childress.
Yeah. They did rally around him for sure. And
that year, did you guys beat Green Bay twice? That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brett
and Aaron was the quarterback?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was Aaron's second year as the starting quarterback for Green Bay. He was drafted in 2005. His first year as a starter was 2008, and that's when Brett went to the Jets, and then Aaron started. The second year as a starter for Rodgers was 2009. That's when Favre came out of retirement, and BMAC and the Vikings, and they were 2-0 against Green Bay that season, and Brett had 7 touchdowns and no picks in those 2 games. I mean, he thrashed them. One was a Monday night at home, I think, BMAC. We were at home on a Monday night.
One was definitely a Monday night. I remember.
And then the road game in Lambeau was like a 3:30 start on Fox. So it had, by the time it got to be the fourth quarter, I mean, it was dark out and the lights were on. Like, it felt like a primetime game, And I'll always remember.
Awesome.
Prince, one of the PR guys for the Vikings, had someone threw a purple pool ball down onto the field. He picked it up because the purple cue ball or the purple pool ball is number 4. We picked it up someone threw that.
Wow.
I mean, you remember running out on the field, BMAC, that. Sure. I mean, that was crazy at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was fun times for sure. So anyway, that's sort of the story that Bryant was alluding to. That was 2009, and it was organic and natural. And in 2010, it was like, let's run it back and do it again. It just didn't work. Right. So to your point,
it was forced. It was too forced.
It was too forced.
And the fact that you had to go there and you had to stay overnight there, I knew already in my spirit, like, you're forcing it. Like, no, like,
yeah.
He was content with what he did. Like, come on, he took it. That was the best record since I had been at 12-4. We went to the NFC Championship. Like, we barely lost. It was they were cheating. Like, they were hitting him late. Like all that. Yeah. So it was like he did everything he needed to do. He beat Green Bay twice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because he beat every team in the NFL except Green Bay until he got with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he did everything he wanted to do. He was kind of content. Yeah. It was like us kind of just like trying to force it, like, oh, let's run it back. And it's like, it just wasn't the same. And I kind of knew it wasn't. Like, 2009 was the time where had we beat New Orleans, we would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would have been Vikings Colts.
Yeah, and it was in Miami. So I was really like, it just would have happened, but it just, New Orleans for the story, like they was overcoming hurricane,
Katrina,
like, but the story, it was like all those things too. So it was just like whatever.
Yeah, it leaves
but a lot
of
things unfolded after that. Like, okay. They had all those like the late hits, and then it was like they changed the sudden death, because that was sudden death back then. So like they got the ball and they kick a field goal, the game's over. Like we didn't get a chance to get the ball back or nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they won by 3 points after we had 5 turnovers, and we never had that many turnovers ever. We had a turnover on the 2-yard line going in. We had a bunch of turnovers that we never had during the year, but we still was tied up, and then lost by like a field goal at the end, and didn't get the opportunity to get the ball back. So they changed that sudden death into like both
the new format.
Both teams get possession and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough one, man. And, like this all started because someone said to me, that's all right, we'll be back. And to your point, Prince, it's hard to get back, man. It's hard to get back. And
that's why I love the NFL, because we always say there's so much parity in the NFL. Like the NFL is a sport, like if you compare it to the NBA, where one person, they make a difference, but it's not that big of a difference. Like you can move LeBron, or you can move like these top guys in the NBA, and they're instant contenders. NFL, not really, because like there's 3 phases. There's offense, defense, and special teams. It was rare that we saw it when Tom went to Tampa, but Tampa was already a
But this is what I'm gonna say.
A win-ready team.
And this is what I try to explain to people. Just like how Brett Favre came in, like we were already there.
Yeah, exactly. And he just made it better.
Certain people can make everybody raise their level of play up.
100%.
And clearly Tom is one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
those people was already there, but he can make you raise your level of play up. Brett Favre came to the Vikings, he made everybody, you have so much respect for certain people that you don't want to let them down. So you raise your level of play up. And I was able to experience that not once but twice. Ray Lewis is another person who is able to move the needle with the audience, like with his team. And I realized, like, certain people is, when they say somebody's great, they have a great influence in the locker room too. So they're not only just a great player, but they have a great influence within the guys in the locker room, where guys don't want to let them down. So the coach is cool, because Coach Childress, that year, you just really kind of like babysat us. Like, that wasn't your team.
Just don't mess it up. Just get out the way.
Right. But he tried to a few times, because there was times when we played against Detroit where the game might not be going how he wanted to go. You try to take him out. You try to take Brett Favre out the game and make Tavares Jackson go in. And Tavares was like, well, I'm not going in. And Brett said he's not coming out. And we all like kind of stood with Brett. Like, you know what I'm saying? But people didn't know it was a whole argument going on in the middle of a game of him trying to pull Brett out. And we ended up winning the game. But it was just a little rocky, I guess, at a certain point. And everybody was like, no, like, we're all playing for one individual, and it just makes a big difference.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And the thing is, not every team has that figure every year. Some years a team is missing that guy, don't you think?
Yeah. Some teams, if you add that type of guy, it would take them over the hill, but you need that, because you need somebody who everybody respects and like kind of like looks up to, because if you feel like, oh, I'm not gonna be the weakest link, I don't want to let nobody down, everybody level raises. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And that's why I knew, like, we knew that he was home, and like we knew that players got sent to his house. Like, it was just like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we knew that, like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like, he came here, he was ready. Like, it's like, now you're like, this man is trying to like chill, and like y'all like forcing it. Like,
yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, and and the other thing too is, I have to imagine, if your team is missing that figure, someone who's already there can't like transform into that person. Like, that's you know what I mean? Who was like that for you guys, Prince, on any of your teams? Was there someone who was just like a dynamic leader that inspired people?
Yeah. I would say for the Giants, it was special because we had guys who already won in 2007.
Yeah.
that was on the team for 2011. So when they kind of saw similarities from 2007 to 2011, it was guys were speaking about like, hey, this is feeling like 2007 again. We're catching our rhythm. We're catching our groove and stuff. So there's guys like Corey Webster, Justin Tuck, OC Umenora, obviously Eli Manning, Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw, and so guys like that already tasted it before. So when we got to 2011, um, it was like the same thing. Those guys were kind of speaking up, and then when I went to the Bears, I would say our Tom Brady or LeBron type of impact player was Khalil Mack.
Hmm.
So 2017, we were already pretty good on defense, and then we didn't know we were going to get Khalil Mack, but then right before we play our first game against the Packers, we make this big trade for Khalil Mack, and that just, I mean we had the best defense that year, and it showed, and we win the division, we go all the way to playoffs, and then we lose. Um, I don't like to say we lose because of the field goal kick, but in that moment we could have won if we would have made the field goal kick, but we missed it,
Yeah.
and so we missed those things. But
So
that
you
was one of
lost
those
this
games.
too, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we lost. Yeah,
You
in
didn't want to say it, I
overtime.
said it. Like you
Yeah,
should have been paying
yeah,
attention.
in overtime, and that was tough because even when I was with the Giants, I never thought we were gonna win. I never thought we were gonna win the Super Bowl my rookie year. But when I was with Chicago, I was like, oh my goodness, we have something here. Like I was thinking like, man, we could win. Like the LA Rams, they came to us, we beat them 17-3. Like it was, we knew we knew we had something. And then that game, oh man, we lost to the Eagles. They had Nick Foles, and they
Mm-hmm.
come, and it was an overtime, and it was a far right field goal kick. But again, we could have won the game in that moment, but
He
I'm
missed the
sure
kick.
there's other things that
And
could
guess
figure it out.
what?
Yeah.
My first year with the Ravens, we went 12-4. I'm being
Oh
honest.
wow.
He missed it. We went 12-4. Lee Evans, they said Lee Evans dropped the pass in the end zone, which would have made
Yeah.
us win the game. He dropped it. So then now our kicker comes out, and he misses the kick, and we lost the game. So
Gosh.
I know what you feel like. And I'm gonna say
Yeah.
what's funny about that with that game is that was my first year in Baltimore. We went 12-4, and we lost. Our kicker missed the field goal, and Ray Lewis was supposed to retire that season. And then we get in the locker room. He's like, don't hang your heads low. We'll be back in the same situation again next year." So I was like, well, one, that means you're not retiring. You're coming back.
You
And then
using the
two, it's
context
like I'm
clues.
just thinking like, how are we gonna be back here like in New England in the AFC Championship? Like, what's the odds of that? Well, lo and behold, the following year we beat Denver in the
Oh, was
second
that when
round.
Jacoby Jones, God rest his soul?
Jacob,
Was that when
yes.
Jacoby Jones?
And
Okay.
we beat them.
Wow.
Trust me, like it was like that play was crazy because I'm just blocking. I just hear the crowd like scream. I look and I'm like, oh my God. And then we find ourselves back in New England. And I was like, okay. I was like, Ray Lewis is a prophet because he said
Right,
this
right.
last year, and it always stuck in my mind, like, what? Because I remember me thinking, like, what are the odds of us being back in the NFC Championship in New England? Like, you know how much things have to take place to be like
Yes.
in the same. We're back in the same situation, but when we came back, it was a whole different attitude because you know why? We were able to be there the year before and watch the confetti come down on them and them celebrate going to the Super Bowl.
Mm. Mm.
So it was like, oh, we're not letting this happen twice. Like it was
Yeah.
Right,
so like
right.
to the point where like remember like I think every had a pick and like Tom Brady like did some weird thing like trying to kick him something like out of his character, but it was like we were dominating that much in that game that we weren't going to allow anybody to take that away from us.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, just being from my chair, guys, I think I think about just watching the NFL really closely for a couple of decades, almost 30 years. I think Ray Lewis is like one of the dominant figures, personalities. Like he's
Yeah.
an icon in the NFL in the last 30
For
years.
sure. For
I'm
sure.
gonna say Ray Lewis will give you Ray Lewis, because you don't feel great every Sunday, but Ray Lewis can change your mindset in the locker room. He'll put his oil on you before the game, but he can give a speech and make you say, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you everything that I have for these 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you might not feel the best, but it's like, okay, I don't want to let him down. Like he talked you into like finding a way. Like, you know what I mean? So and everybody can't do that.
No, they can.
But there's certain people who can get you to do that. Like, you know what I mean? And you need those type of people in the locker room.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like you had to have lived it and walked it out, because we know there's a lot of people who talk and we're like, all right, man, come on, man, we just see you, like you don't even go hard, or we just seen you, like, come on. But like, for someone to be confident to talk and to know that they live it, and like that just makes it even more like believable. Like, wow, like I seen Ray play through injuries, or I seen him give it all he got even when he doesn't have it. So like, yeah, I'm a ride with him. So I can only imagine. And he played, God, how long did he play at linebacker? 17, 18, 20 years?
Yeah, it's running like 17, 18 years.
Yeah, icon, man. He's an absolute icon for sure. You know, and a throwback, and not just a bunch of machismo and bravado. He was a smart player. He was a good leader. He is the full package. You know, I just loved watching him play. Loved it.
And he's a Miami Hurricane guy, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
He is. Yeah. Yeah, he is for sure. All right, Vikings-Giants, guys. The game is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time at MetLife Stadium. A couple of things I wanted to talk about with you guys about this game, and then we'll get everyone out of here because everyone's busy and got stuff going on. I know you guys do. So one of them I want to get Brian's thoughts on, and that's the Giants' defensive front and how to handle something like that. But I'll start with you, Prince, on the other side of this matchup. Obviously, when you think Vikings, you think Justin Jefferson. The Vikings also have Jordan Addison, who's now entering his second season out of USC and had 10 touchdowns last year. So, Prince, from a defensive back's standpoint, when you have a team that's got two really good receivers like this, now they also have Aaron Jones at running back, so he's a difference maker. I don't think we should discount the running game, but I think when you look at the Vikings, you look at, okay, Kevin O'Connell played in the NFL, head coach, offensive-minded guy. You have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. This is a team that's probably going to put the ball in the air. So how do you approach that, Prince, as a secondary when you have a dominant receiver, one of the best in the game, and then a really good wingman? Are you doubling the dominant guy and hoping the wingman doesn't kill you, or do you put your top corner on the wingman and then double the dominant guy? What would be your approach there?
Yeah, so I think number one, you gotta do an inventory check on defense. So like who do we have, and am I confident that guy can lock up the other guy? I really love the I call it the Bill Belichick approach. I don't know if you started it, but they had Darrell Revis, and I think they had Brandon Browner. So what they would do is they'll put Revis on their number two, Brandon Browner, and the safety, I think, helping like the Dublin number one. So I kind of like that. I don't see a lot of coaches do that, but I think the Giants believe in Banks, and I met Banks, and Banks is their corner, and Banks is a dog, and so I think if they do follow, I think Banks might be the one following Justin Jefferson. But I mean, to be short, I don't think you can double, because I've seen Jordan Addison, and to me, he's the number one. He's the number one receiver. You can't. You have to have eyes on him also. But I think what's going to make the difference is, and I'm sure this is where VMAC comes in, but I think is our front four. I mean, we did just get Brian Burns, like I said, that big trade, but Brian Burns from the Panthers. We have Dex, Big Dex up in the middle, and then we have Kayvon Thibodeau. So like our front line is going to be they should, and hopefully they take some pressure and kind of shorten that time clock for the Vikings. And then is Darnold is he the starter?
It'll be Sam Darnold.
Okay, it'll be Sam. So Darnold, I mean, obviously a top draft pick and stuff like that, but like, are we going to trust? Like you said, like, they might air it out, but are we going to trust Sam to? Are we going to put the game in Sam's hands to kind of win it for them? I mean, that's going to be the question.
Yeah, and so Bryant, that's a great segue to you actually. I think, and you tell me what it's like in those meetings, BMAC. I think that Kevin O'Connell trusts Sam Darnold to be his starter, but I don't think he wants Sam Darnold like thrown it 50 times. You know, like if you had Kirk Cousins or someone like that with Jefferson and Addison, I think you'd be all right with 45 dropbacks. I think bringing Aaron Jones to Minnesota, BMAC, is the Vikings being like, it's either going to be rookie JJ McCarthy playing or it's going to be Sam Darnold. We can't throw the ball 50 times a game with those guys.
That's when it becomes like a part, like the supporting cast had to step up. So the offensive line has to step up and be able to allow the ball to be ran. The running back has to do his job. So there's a lot of things that have to take place in order for, because you're on the road. So if you get behind on the road, you got to throw the ball. So we have to make sure like the running game is there early, and they'll do that. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to tell the first 15, but I'm pretty sure like they want to test the running, and then that allows the offensive lineman to feel like, oh yeah, we can run it, because I know that's how I was. Like, oh yeah, run it to me. If I feel like I'm having a good day against somebody, I'm gonna say run it to my side all day. So it's really about like how the line plays, and that helps out the quarterback. So if we can run the ball, then we'll run it, so we don't have to put so much pressure on him about throwing it, all these times. But and it just balances things out, because now if you can run the ball, then that means you can do play action, and that means you can pass.
Yep. I think another thing we talked about too, Prince, last week, BMAC and I, is, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Giants can sort of swap their edge rushers a little bit. Like Thibodeau can go either side and Burns can go either side. So BMAC, what's that like for a left tackle? I mean, because a left tackle is kind of a matchup position a lot of times. Like, you're studying your guy, right? But now you got to
for left tackle. Left tackle always prepares for the best edge rusher. And that's why there was a high paying position, because they prepare for the best edge rusher regardless. But
we need BMAC back.
The Vice might have died.
We need BMAC back. I got him. Here he is. We got him back. He's here. He's here.
He's the backstage.
You're here now.
Okay, so having being able to flip side to side, I feel like works more in the defensive on the defensive side, because the right tackle might not be as good. So, but back in the day, everybody stayed in the left and right defensive end. But being able to do that now is based off matchup, so it favors the defense a little bit more. But for me, I always prepare for the best edge rusher as a left tackle. But I don't know, because you have to ask the right tackle how they.
Well, when do you think teams started doing that, BMAC, swapping edge rushers?
Well, remember I told you, in my career,
Doomerville,
the playoffs, when we went against Denver, you had Von Miller and you had Doomerville. And Doomerville was more on my side majority, but
hold on, you didn't have the guy from Dallas yet? What's his name?
DeMarcus Ware.
DeMarcus Ware. He wasn't there yet?
Not in Denver. I played against him in Dallas.
Okay, but he was with Denver during that. I thought during that.
Yeah,
he
did.
Run.
He ended in Denver. Yep. Ware did. Yep.
Oh, that had to be after Doomerville left.
Yep, that's right. Yep, you're right, B-Man. Yep.
So, but those two would switch. And I was just like, I don't know if it started in that game, because when I watched the film, it was like they played their sides. Like, Doomerville was always against me, against the left tackle, and then the other one was against the right tackle. But in that game, it was like they kept swapping, they were kind of roaming around and doing their own thing, and I was like, what the hell? But I still just prepared, I still got to just do my thing, you know what I mean? But so for me, I feel like maybe they was like, oh, well, we should try this. I don't know. I feel like Denver might have been one of the teams that started that kind of thing.
Maybe. It's just so interesting to me because when we think matchups in the NFL, we really think wide receivers and corners, like what Prince deals with. I don't think a lot of people, when they think matchups, I don't think they think about left tackle and edge rusher.
They don't respect us. And I don't know why. And I always.
What do you mean? You just said that you guys get paid. You just said you guys are one of the highest paid positions.
But nobody respects it. Like nobody knows. Nobody celebrates it. Like offensive line.
You're right.
Doing insurance commercials.
They don't highlight it.
Insurance policy. We should be doing Allstate commercials. We should be doing those. Not the quarterback. I love it. The quarterback. You are the car. You are like wear your insurance policy to make sure you don't get in accidents.
I like that. That's
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who is doing marketing for these companies? Because get the offensive lineman because we're the protection.
Yeah.
Y'all don't get the quarterback and do a commercial about insurance.
That is
why?
True. Yeah, people don't understand. Like, remember when Mahomes was getting smacked at was it the Super Bowl?
Right. And you had insurance.
The next year, what? They spent so much money.
Yeah.
And they brought to protect them. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's right, B-Mac.
I've been saying that for years. I try to make that position like a little more, like it's just 5 guys who go out there. And you only get your name called if you jump off sides and have a penalty.
Yep.
No, that's right.
We don't leave the field.
That can wreck a game.
Like the offensive line is the engine of the car. The quarterback is the driver. Yep. The receiver, the running back, and the tight end are the wheels. But guess what? We can't go anywhere without the engine.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm making a note. My buddy owns an insurance agency here in Minnesota. So State Farm Insurance. So text Ty Hashig. Okay, he's gonna call you for an endorsement deal, B-Mac.
Right? Hello.
No, that is
like insurance companies. Like if you want to play off of football, it's like you're supposed to get the offensive lineman. Because we are the insurance policy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And we know as defense, we don't even have to hit the quarterback. We just have to get him, like make him like whoa,
rattle him,
rattle him a little bit, all type of thing. That is right, man. I like that because I used to think, okay, when they say how you're going to start a team, I'm thinking quarter. It's either quarterback, offensive tackle, edge rusher, or defensive back.
Yep.
And it's either that's always been the argument, like which one. And there's some people who say, no, I'm drafting a receiver first. I'm like, come on, like that's so. I think I might go quarterback and then offensive tackle now.
I would too. I would go quarterback first because you need somebody to run it, and then then you need somebody to protect him, and then go from there.
Then go from there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think within the offensive line, you can sort of prioritize it as well. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, I know B-Mac's my guy, and he's here. But I would say even if he wasn't, center's important. But I mean, left tackle, it's blindside. Yeah. It's just it's a game wrecking position. If you don't have that covered up, the game is wrecked.
Yes. Yes. And that's why the person wrecking it, that's why his position is highlighted a lot, and that person gets paid a lot because
and so
they don't see that coming. It's like forced fumble, like it's a whole bunch of things that can take place because that's the blind side, so you don't see it coming. So the quarterback has to feel some type of like security in that individual. Like I know they got me, I don't have to worry about it. Other than that, it's like then they'll be like itching and moving, like it's just not the same.
And so if you look at this game, guys, I mean, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns against Brian O'Neill, the right tackle for the Vikings, and then the left tackle is Christian Darrisaw. I mean, that's a gigantic matchup. I mean, that's 4 really good players right there. Then you got Jefferson and Addison, for the Vikings on offense, going against who you said Deonte Banks, Prince. The Giants love him. They also drafted a nickel corner in Drew Phillips.
Yeah, they did.
And they just signed Adoree Jackson. So they obviously think that's important. And then the Vikings just signed Stephon Gilmore, and they're going to be going against Malik Neighbors. So, we've got these in a matchup league. This Vikings-Giants matchup is a fun one to look at on an individual matchup level all over the place.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors too. What are you thinking about Malik Neighbors, Prince? We got to get going here, but tell us about him.
I saw him, and like as great as advertised. Like he reminds me a little bit of Odell, a little bit of Des Bryant. Like he's going to be great. Obviously, you just have to get him the ball, but he's going to be great. And he's he's a dog at that position. Wants the ball, wants to make the big play, wants the matchup. And so that's going to be great. And then on the other side, I mean, they have Jalen Hyatt, who's our speedster,
he's speedy,
and then Wandale Jones. Is it Wandale?
Wandale
Robinson.
Yep.
Wandale Robinson, former Nebraska guy, and so he's gonna be the wild card. Like he's a scat back. He could be in the slot, and so it's gonna be interesting to see how they use him. But it all starts with Daniel Jones, who's had a great camp. So it's gonna be fun to see. I know you're not asking for prediction, but it's in my head 27-13 Giants.
All right. What are you thinking, B-Mac? We got Prince at 27-13 Giants. What are you feeling?
I'm going to say 27-13, 27-13. I'm going to say 24-13, and I'm going to say the Vikings. I feel like the Vikings are feeling good, coming off of the preseason of 3-0. They're going to go ahead and give their best effort. And it's on the road, so I'm going to say 24-13.
All right. I got 20-19. I think it's going to be a really close game. I won't be surprised at an outcome either way here, but I think it's going to be super tight and come down to the last second. So I'm going to go 20-19 Giants. I hope for the Vikings' sake I'm wrong.
Giants.
I hope for the Vikings' sake, I hope I'm wrong. But what's funny about this game? I think a lot of Vikings fans will look at this one and circle and be like, this is one we can win early on, And the funny thing about when you do that is the other team is doing that too. The Giants are sitting there being like, this is a game we should. So that's what happens in these types of games. But we will see what happens. And then we'd love to have you back on sometime, Prince.
Sure.
Even if it's not Vikings Giants, because it was fun chatting with you. Just one quick thing before we go. What are you up to? Where can people see more of what you're doing?
Dude, I'm glad you asked that. I am, what I do. So I just started a kids YouTube entertainment channel called Mr. A Adventures. So our mission is nutrition, education, and physical activity. And so we have a separate segment called Mr. A Chats, where we chat with professional athletes. The slogan is called Pros Fueling the Next Generation. So we'll kind of I don't know if it's a real word, but we childrenize the athletes. So we'll ask them what was your favorite topic that you like to study in school? Is an avocado a fruit or vegetable? To kind of see whether trivia is that. B-Mac, what do you think it is? An avocado, is it a fruit or vegetable?
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. Yeah, you're right. You'd be surprised. And so we'll just ask fun questions like that, just so the kids can kind of, see their athletes in a different light and see that their athletes know about nutrition, and it kind of inspires the kid to try, different fruit and vegetables. I always say you don't need to put LeBron on an avocado to sell avocados. I can just ask LeBron questions.
You gotta get avocado a good publicist.
Exactly. For real. But I just have to ask questions to kind of set up the athlete. Like if I'm asking, so I ask B-Mac, hey, what's your favorite fruit or vegetable to eat before the game? Right then and there, B-Mac is gonna give a fruit or vegetable, and that's gonna inspire the kid to try some. So so that's what we're about.
Very cool. Very cool. And do you guys have a website or a social account people can check out?
Yep, MrAAdventures.com and Mr. A Adventures on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Very cool. That's awesome. Well, we got a bunch of kids here, so that's something that we'll definitely check out on our side of things. So, all right. Hey, Prince, thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate you joining us. This was fun.
Thank you very much for joining us. I really
appreciate it. B-Mac hooked that one up. That's a good one, as always. He comes through with great guests. So thanks, Brian. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you. And B-Mac, last thing, I was going to tell you this off air, but I met RB, Rashad Butler. He was an old lineman.
Yeah, at Miami.
Yeah, I met him at a Whole Foods out here. Because I play basketball and I'm trying to recruit basketball players to play, and he looked like he's tall, he was fit.
Right.
And I said, "Hey, do you hoop?" He said, "Nah, I just work out." I'm like, "Bro, look at." He said, "Oh, I used to be an O lineman." I was like, "Where?" And then so I threw names like you and Antro Roll around. He said, "Yeah, I know those guys and stuff like that." So yeah, met RB.
Yeah, Rashard. Yeah, Rashard was maybe a freshman or something. I remember him.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, fellas. Well, enjoy the first weekend of NFL football. You too. BMAC, you and I again next Monday as we review what happened on the field against the Giants, whether it's positive or negative. We'll review it and talk about it, and then we'll look ahead to the Vikings Week 2 opponent, which is San Francisco, and the home opener on my birthday, by the way, guys. Home opener on my birthday.
Oh, okay, Virgo.
Love it. And I know Sam has already given the playbook. It just happens. Sam is already telling them, "Hey, this is what."
Yep.
This is what Brock likes. This is what Kyle likes to run.
Yep.
That's what I love about football.
That's a big headache for Kyle Shanahan now.
Yeah, because now you got to switch your checks, and because Sam's telling the DBs, "Hey, if they do this, that." But yeah, again, that's next week.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, fellas. Appreciate it. Vikings-Giants Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time for the season opener. That's it for this episode of Bleav in Vikings. Our thanks to Prince Amukamara for joining us. Bryant McKinnie, as always, on a Monday. Thank you, my partner. That's it, everyone. Thank you for watching Bleav in Vikings. Skol Vikings. Until next time, always remember, keep believing.